Hi Sycamore. Hope you're enjoying this lovely sunshine and you've had a lovely day, and now that you're ready for story time. We've been so impressed with all of the things you've been sending in, all of your photos, all of your videos, and especially your amazing work. Keep it up. You're doing super job. Now, hope you enjoy story time. Chapter 19, The Inventing Room, Everlasting Gobstoppers and Hair Toffee. When Mr. Wonka shouted, "Stop the boat!" the Oompa Loompas jammed their oars into the river and backed water furiously. The boat stopped. The Oompa Loompas guided the boat alongside the red door. On the door it said, "Inventing Room, Private, Keep Out." Mr. Wonka took a key from his pocket, leaned over the side of the boat and put the key in the keyhole. "This is the most important room in the entire factory," he said. "All of my secret inventions are cooking and simmering in here. Old Finkelgrubber would give his front teeth to be allowed in here just for 3 minutes. So would Prodnose and Slugworth and all the other rotten chocolate makers. But now, listen to me. I want no messing about when you go in. No touching, no meddling, and definitely no tasting. Is that agreed?" "Yes, yes," the children cried. "We won't touch a thing." Up to now, Mr. Wonka said, everyone else, not even an Oompa Loompa, has even been inside here. He opened the door and stepped out the boat into the room. The 4 children and their parents all scrambled after him. "Don't touch," shouted Mr. Wonka, "and don't knock anything over." Charlie Bucket stared around the gigantic room in which he found himself. The place was like a witch's kitchen. All about him were metal pots. They were bubbling and boiling on huge stoves, and kettles were hissing, pans were sizzling, and strange iron machines were clanking and spluttering, and there were pipes running all over the ceilings and walls, and the whole place was filled with smoke and steam and delicious rich smells. Mr. Wonka himself had suddenly become even more excited than usual, and everyone could see that this room was the room he loved most of all. He was hopping around amongst the saucepans and the machines like a child amongst his Christmas presents, not knowing which thing to look at first. He lifted the lid from a huge pot and took a sniff. He then rushed over, dipped in a finger into the barrel of his sticky yellow stuff and had a taste. Then he skipped across to one of the machines and turned 6 knobs this way and that, and then he peered anxiously through the glass door of the gigantic oven, rubbing his hands, cackling with delight at what he saw inside. Then he ran over to another machine, a small, shiny affair that kept going clonk, 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 and every time it went clonk, a large green marble dropped out of it into the basket on the floor. At least it looked like a marble. "Everlasting Gobstoppers," cried Mr. Wonka proudly. "They're completely new. I'm inventing them for children who are given very little pocket money, who can never put an everlasting gobstopper in your mouth, and you can suck it and suck it and suck it, and it will never get any smaller." "It's like gum," cried Violet Beauregard. "It is not like gum," Mr. Wonka said. "Gum is for chewing, and if you tried chewing one of these gobstoppers, you'd certainly break your teeth off. And it never gets any smaller. They never disappear. Never. At least I don't think they do. There's one of them being tested this very moment in the testing room next door. An Oompa Loompa is sucking it. He's been sucking it for nearly a whole year now without stopping, and it's just as good as ever. Now, over here," Mr. Wonka cried, skipping excitedly across the room to the opposite wall. "Over here, I'm inventing a completely new line of toffees." He stopped beside a large saucepan. The saucepan was full of thick, gooey, purplish liquid, boiling and bubbling. By standing on his toes, little Charlie could see inside it. "That's hair toffee," cried Mr. Wonka. "You can eat just one bit of that, and in exactly half an hour, a brand new, luscious, thick, silky crop of hair will start growing out of the top of your head, and a moustache, and a beard." "A beard?" cried Veruca Salt. "Who wants a beard, for heaven's sake?" "It would suit you very well," said Mr. Wonka, "but unfortunately, the mixture is not quite right yet. It's got a bit too strong. It works a bit too well. I tried it on an Oompa Loompa yesterday in the testing room, and immediately a huge black beard started shooting out of his chin, and the beard grew so fast that soon it was trailing all over the floor in a thick hairy carpet. It was growing faster than he could cut it. In the end, we had to use a lawnmower to keep it in check, but I'll get the mixture right soon. And when I do, there'll be no excuse for any little boys or any little girls to be going round with bald heads. But Mr. Wonka, said Mike TV, little boys and girls never do that. Don't argue with me, dear child. Please don't argue, cried Mr. Wonka. It's such a waste of precious time. Now over here, if you will all step this way, I will show you something that I am terrifically proud of. Oh, do be careful. Don't knock anything over. Stand back. Wow. I'm not sure I would like hair toffee. I don't think I would like a big black beard to grow. No. What about you? I don't think so. So, I will see you very soon. Take care.